Hello and welcome to the Abigail Olaya Show. Let's see, that's a little bright. Today is Tuesday, so I'm going to say happy Tuesday and happy whatever day it is when you are seeing this. I am moving over here. All right. So today is episode 9. I can't believe it's already episode 9. And today I'll be discussing about powerful conversations and 2 concepts. And so we'll get into all of that. Let's go ahead and first start with a positive focus. So my positive focus for today is that I had a really strong workout. We did some new things, and it was really empowering and inspiring to be able to. We started incorporating like little jumps. So there's like this step thing. He's like, okay, jump off, jump on. And I'm like, I haven't been doing jumps for a long time. And so that was really exciting and fun and new for today. So today is episode 9, and if you're new to the show, welcome. If you're returning, thank you for coming again. And reminder, I am passionate about helping women, leaders, and entrepreneurs to achieve more than what they imagined, to 10x their lives. And I do that by being their trusted advisor and their coach. The Abigail Olaya Show is the place to come for insight in increasing your personal power, creating a lifestyle of freedom, and developing the confidence to live according to your desires. So those are touched on in today's episode, which is powerful conversations, where we'll be going through a couple of concepts to be able to step into your power, to be able to come and show up more powerfully to conversations that you're having, whether that's in business or in your life. And so with that, let's go ahead and get started. The first concept is to begin with the end in mind. So these are concepts that I learned early in my career when I started getting into management, and somebody gave me the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Leaders by Stephen Covey. And so I just think I remember so early on that these 2 concepts are still things that I use today. So the first one is begin with the end in mind. Now, what does that mean? It's that when I go into a conversation, I'm going in with what is it that I ultimately want. So I'm thinking of like the end, what do I want? And I'm going in with that. It could be that I want let's see, if there's a business conversation, especially with couples, it's like, I want there to be peace at the end. I want there to be happy. I want there to be agreement. I want there to be moving forward without any hangups. So it depends if that was like a conflict item. When there's other things that I'm walking into, I'm looking for, what is it that I personally want? Do I want growth? Do I want someone to do something, right? Do I want them to have a part in it? Like right now, we are part of the Children's Museum Gala. And so there are people that I'm reaching out to have conversations, and I want it to be a successful gala, right? I want it to be filled with people that are where they believe in the museum and what it stands for, and they're supporting it and creating opportunities for these funds and for these donors to be able to. So I'm walking in with what it is that I'm wanting to have as the end result. And so when I can get clear on that, now I can be strong and steady in myself, grounded as to where the conversation goes. So if I was to just walk in and be like, all right, here's the conversation, and then it gets heated or it gets whatever, then we just start going like this and kind of flowing with it and allowing maybe certain things to trigger our emotions. And so the way to stay grounded and the way to come in is to walk in with a clear understanding of what it is that you want. So you probably hear me say that a lot because I think it's so pivotal. It's important for us to know what it is that when we're going to create something, basically we're creating through that conversation, right? If we're dealing with some misunderstanding, well, what do we want? We want it cleared up. And so when somebody, we feel maybe they have wronged us, and we're going to have that conversation instead of being so caught up in the, oh my gosh, how are they going to react? What is it going to be? What is it? And inventing all these stories in our mind of what it could possibly turn out to. We can then turn to the other side and get grounded by considering what it is that we want. So what is it that we want? So that's first, beginning with the end in mind. And the second concept is, once I know what I want, then that's what totally leads to the second concept. The second concept is win-win agreements and win-win situations, win-win agreements. And so you can think of that, and I want to contrast it. I want to go and look at when people say this is different, win-win is different than compromise. A lot of times I'll hear, yeah, well, we're compromising. And I went and I looked up compromise. You know how I like to give definitions. Compromise is an agreement. I really like these words, an agreement and a settlement of dispute reached by each side making concessions. So those are a lot of different words that are pointing to somebody didn't get what they wanted. So there's a dispute, there's an agreement out of it, and each side is making a concession. So like, okay, fine, I'll give up this if you give up that. That's like the energy behind compromise. And so when I think about compromise, actually is more of like a lose-lose situation, because people are more, it has the energy and people are more focused on what it is that I have to give up than what am I gaining or how am I moving it forward. So now that's compromise. And there's a couple of other ones. It says mutual concession. So again, both of them are agreeing to like concession. They're conceding, they're giving back, they're holding back, they're coming down to whatever is another definition of that is accept standards that are lower than desirable. So again, just trying to paint the picture of what compromise, that the energy that compromise brings with it. Another one is meeting halfway. So if we're meeting halfway, it just kind of feels like, all right, like I said, that we're both giving up something, that we're both like, okay, fine, here's how we can move forward and be, mutually in agreement. And so now that I've painted the picture of compromise, I want to look at win-win agreements. And so win-win is going in with what is it that you want, and then understanding what it is on the other side that they want, which is actually another concept from Stephen Covey, which is seek first to understand before being understood, right? So this, if we combine those three concepts, I forgot about that one until right now it popped in, that is in combination with these other ones. So if I can really understand what is it that the other side is looking for, especially when it's in conflict, what are they looking for? When, in our wedding business, when someone's upset, what are they looking for? Are they looking for acknowledgement? Are they looking for to be heard? Are they looking for, ultimately, they want a good event, right? Or they want to be in that state where they're entertaining, they're hosting people, they want it to be great, those kind of things. So we look for, I'm always looking for and hearing what is it that they're wanting. And then win-win, it's taking what they're wanting and what I'm wanting. And instead of compromise, us coming down to a concession or to agreement, I'm looking for how can we move up to both win-win? How can they get what they want and how can I get what I want? And looking into that. And so the same thing actually really is powerful in any relationship, any conversation. So if I'm thinking about with the girls, right? And so it's like, they want to go swim. I need to make dinner. I need to have them ready for bed at a certain time. Instead of it's like, I'm looking at it from the lens of how do we both win? Okay, you can swim for 20 minutes and then you have to help me, over here, or can you help me over here? So I'm looking at always building it up. How do we get to a win-win agreement? And now there are some critics out there that are going to say it's never win-win. Somebody's going to have to give up. Remember, all I'm always talking about is mindset, right? So it's like putting on the lenses of, I want to look at it through win-win versus I want to look at it through compromise, because those are two different energy standpoints. And so when I'm coming from it as win-win, it'll have at least for me, what I've found in experience in the people that I work with, it has a higher energy. It has it can pull you forward. It can go for the greater good, right? And so it has this essence of being something that is of a higher power, higher energy, higher outcome, versus coming in at that lower energy of like, well, I'm going to have to give up. Can't see, I have my arms crossed here. I'm going to have to give up something. So here, see, there's two totally different energies that go with that. And so when I was talking about like with relationships, even with Edward, there was I remember it specifically about a year ago. I was working with a client, and she brought up, she was planning her own wedding at the time, and she brought up something that she was having to, she's like, well, that's what relationship is. They'll just have to compromise. Something that's what I recall feeling from what she was talking about. And I was like, well, let's talk about compromise, and let's talk about like an alternative of how you can come in and both of you get what you want, like come in. And so we worked on this very same concept. And so from that, I went and asked Edward, I was like, do you ever feel like you compromise? And he's like, no. And, we've done a lot of business. We've done a lot of things. We've learned a lot of things together. And so we just naturally, over time have come to where we have this win-win. Like, how do you get what you want? How do I get what I want? And then we move forward in that direction versus hopefully you can see where the other one has the lose-lose situation to that. So what did we talk about today? So we're talking about powerful conversations, and I talked about I said I had two useful concepts, and I remembered the third one. So there's actually three. So the first one being begin with the end in mind, because anytime you begin with the end in mind, you're already setting yourself up to know what you want. The second one being seek first to understand before being understood. So what is it on the other side? What am I looking for? What am I wanting to hear before I come in with my position? What is it that they're ultimately wanting, right? Is it's looking past like what it looks like, right? It's looking for what is it that they want? Is it they want to be heard? Is it they want to be understood? Is it that they want, a lot of times when there is conflict, whether it's with business or personal, it's that somebody's talking and the other person is already creating their defense, right? Or creating their response. And so a lot of times we're not hearing what is actually being said. And so with that, we're missing the opportunity to create any kind of win-win or powerful conversation from that. So he talked about and with these concepts, how you can remove the anxiety or the dread of having a conversation, or just, push it off, pretend it doesn't exist, whatever that is. The way that you can remove that is by just these three concepts. If you follow these three concepts, if you take it as like, okay, I know what I want from this. I'm going to go in, I'm going to understand where they're coming from, and then I'm going to look for win-win. How do we both get what we want in this scenario? How do we both get, and is it going to be 100%? I don't know. A lot of times there might be some negotiating, there might be some um changes that happen where it's like, okay, I didn't quite get like this of what I wanted, but I actually got better, or I got pretty close, and it's still win-win versus the compromise, because it's just the essence, it's the energy that I hope you can see, that fine distinction between the two. It's a very fine line of the energy that they carry. So I'm not going in carrying like, well, I'm going to have to lose something. I'm still going with win-win. I'm still going with, I want to win. I want them to win, want to move forward, want to be, clean and free and clear and feel good about it afterwards. That's what I'm going in. How can I get the closest to what I want? Is really, I think, more of the win-win. So thinking about, okay, so if I know what I want and I want to get the closest to the win, and I want them to win too, then and I've already understood where they're coming from, then that's how you can just remove the anxiety, because the anxiety comes from the stories that we're creating. We're like, oh, they're going to be mad at me. Oh, they're not going to like that. Oh, this is what's going to happen. Oh my gosh, they're going to yell at me, something like that. And it's like, if we're really going in and seeking to hear and seeking to have both parties win, then I found that, it's a conversation. It brings down the pressure that we can build up in our minds, and it brings it down to, it's a conversation between two people or two parties or whatever it is, and that we're ultimately both looking for win-win. So that's how to have a conversation with these. That's how to remove that anxiety, to remove that worry, because it's really coming from worry. We're creating it. And I don't know if you can relate to this, but how many times have you like thought of something and then you go and do it, and then somebody just put first thought is usually wrong. Yes, that's exactly what I was going to just touch on right now, is that we create these things in our mind, and then we are like, it comes out, or it's far from that, or we think, oh, somebody's so mad at us because of this, or they're going to be mad at us, or whatever it is. And then we go in there and they were like, are you mad? And they're like, no. Like, I was just having a tough day because of XYZ over here. And so we always make these stories and meanings about ourselves. So really, if you have these three concepts, and you, like I said, do the first one, knowing what you want. The second one, because when we know what we want, then we can be advocates for ourselves to get what we want. It's when we're not really crystal clear on what we want, that it allows, when we go into something, for us to be more triggered, for us to be, because then we feel like we're losing. We have to defend, we have to show up a certain way, right? But if I already know what I want, now I can be freed up to listen. Now I can be freed up to hear, and hear past what is actually being said. Like, look for, or be curious and ask questions, without having to come in and be defensive, because I don't have to be worried that what I want is going to be taken away, because ultimately I'm going to be moving forward towards that, because I'm clear on that. So that's how to have conversations with ease. And the other thing is why, well, I talked about it already, is why compromising feels so unpleasant, is it has that lose-lose energy that I was describing in the beginning. It has that essence of like giving up, right? And I really liked it. And making concessions, right? So making concessions has a different thought and mindset to it. If you think about, like, I think it was like in the early 80s, I don't know, just from reading, I wasn't obviously old enough to be having any conversations of this nature or stuff, but I was reading about it, and it was like in the early 80s, like it was in negotiation, someone won and someone lost, and that was it, right? And so now it's like taking that and being able to be, how do both parties win? Like, even we're looking at a property right now, and they want a certain dollar amount, and we're like, well, that's a little bit on the higher side. I mean, it's also the market right now, right? And so we're like, okay, how can we make it win-win? Obviously, they want a quick sale, they want this, they want that, we want certain things, and so we're in conversation about those things, and we're just fine tuning the detail through those. And so now we've come to an agreement, and we're moving forward, and we both feel good about it. That's the essence of win-win. And so that's the way to really, well, hi Hugh. Thanks for joining. Yes, you want to know this, someone is Hugh Jacobson. So awesome. Having a conversation, not a debate. Yes. And the way that even if it got into, let's just say that somehow got triggered, emotions came up, you can always reset yourself on like, hey, we're only having a conversation, right? We can like reset it in our mind that it's a conversation, and we're looking for win-win. How can I understand? And a lot of times we get triggered when we feel that we're not being misunderstood, right? Have you ever had a conversation where the tone, or the what is it? Well, it could be tone too, but the volume of voice gets louder and louder. Like, that's going to suddenly make the other person understand. And so anytime it's like things start getting heated, can always come back, reset, like, hey, I think this is going a little off track. Like, let me understand. And you can always reiterate to them too. That's a wonderful technique to have in a powerful conversation. When you feel that you have understood what it is they want or where they're coming from, is you can always say like, okay, I understand, or help me if you don't understand, help me understand. This is what I'm hearing. Is that correct? So you can always check in with them, and they can validate it for you. At the end of the day, it is a conversation. So there's nothing that we have to put any more weight on that. It's conversation, it's words. They're adults, we're adults. We can have the conversation. And in the end, if we have a desire to have win-win, then we'll have a, win-win situation at the end. And so that's what I found, to have powerful conversations, whether it's in business, in personal relationships. I mean, personal relationships, even like, the stakes could be higher, right? The emotions could be higher. And so it's like really being able to reset that, to be able to remember. And like I said, it's going in with what you what you know you want in the beginning so that you have that direction. There's a quote about like a sail ship, like if it just sets sail, then it's going to go wherever the wind takes it, right? And so if you know if it has a destination and now they're tracking or going towards that destination, they know how to maneuver within the winds to be able to get to that destination. So the same thing, the same concept in a conversation is when you know what you want, now you can navigate towards that with the other person also wanting to have them get what they want, right? If we seek first to understand, and then versus like if you just go in and the conversation goes wherever. And that's probably been what the majority of experience is that we have where it just kind of goes wherever. And that's where we get the anxiety for the next time, right? And so these are being able to remove that. Not only is in the power in the listener, but so is the responsibility of understanding what we're hearing. Yeah. And really hearing what we're hearing over here, yes, and hearing what's going on in here, that chatter, right? Being able to separate those two, and being able to if you use the three concepts of it just slipped my mind, of begin with the end in mind. What do we want? Seek first to understand, and then the win-win. If we keep going back to those, then we can like calm the mind chatter that's going like, well, they just want this, they want to take advantage of me, no, 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 this is unreasonable, whatever it is, right? And being able, so there's a responsibility on both sides on like being able to listen without having to come back with that debate, without having to already be preparing that defense when they're speaking, to really be able to listen for that, as well as listen to our own minds, right? And be able to respond to that versus react. So these three concepts are really self-leadership. They're part of self-leadership. So that's where they're increasing your personal power. And like anything else that we talk about here, it's all mindset, right? It's all a way of thinking that can serve you in showing up more powerfully. And it's all a muscle, right? It's all being able to exercise that. Will it go 100% perfect, whatever perfect is in your mind the first time? It's going to go however it's going to go. And I say, like, that's okay. Keep coming back to the concept, keep coming back. So next time, that's what I have for you today on the episode 9. I can't believe we're almost at 10. So how to have powerful conversations is begin with the end in mind. Know what you want, and then seek first to understand, so that we're really knowing where the other party is. That's how we get to win-win, when we know what we want and we can hear what it is that they want, and then we work together to get to the win-win scenario. So that is powerful conversations, and they can be in business, in life, in any aspect of life, is being able to have those three items within it. So hope you have a wonderful day, or whenever it is or an evening, whenever it is you're watching. And this is part of the Abigail Olaya Show, is part of the Wake Up with Giants TV network. And so there's also a lot of other shows on there you're welcome to check out. And until next time, sending much love. Have a wonderful day or evening.